Now, our next animal, can you guess what that is? That's right, it's a deer. This is a mule deer we have in Idaho, and they get their name mule deer because of those great big ears, just like a mule. Now, what do you think they can do with their ears? That's right, they have the same adaptations. They have really good hearing. You can see the mule deer on the bottom moving his ears around, or one ear's facing one way and one's facing the other, and that allows him to hear in different directions at the same time and pick up more sound. He also has ear conditioning with those big ears and those long skinny legs, so he's able to stay cool in the summertime. He also has another superpower besides super ears. He has a really long nose. Now you can see those arrows are kind of pointing at where his nasal cavity starts and where it ends. With that big long nose, he's able to do something else, and I bet you guess what it is. He has a really good sense of smell. Now, people can smell, and we have really short noses compared to the mule deer and lots of other animals, but you can still smell cookies baking in the oven. So what happens when you're smelling is the cookies go in the oven, and the cookie dough, and they go in little balls, and you put them in the oven, and the oven is hot, so the little molecules or little parts of the cookie dough starts getting really hot. And as they get hot, they get more energy, and they start to vibrate more, and they bounce against each other, and the cookie spreads out and gets bigger. But some of those little tiny pieces of cookie dough, they're called scent chemicals at this point, get pushed out of the cookie and into the air, and they kind of float around the kitchen until they get close to your nose. And you breathe them in, and they get stuck in tiny little hairs up here. They're kind of sticky hairs called cilia, and those cilia hang onto those little scent chemicals, and then they send a message to your brain, and you can say, well, I smelled that smell before, and your brain says, oh, it's cookies. So with our short nose, we can smell quite a bit, but how many more cilia could you get if your nose was as long as a mule deer? That's right, you could get a lot more smells. And so these guys have a really good sense of smell. In fact, mule deer have the ability to smell water even when it's underneath the ground about 2 feet. And how do they get to those really good source of water when it's hot and dry in the desert? They have really sharp hooves, and they can dig right down there and get it. So here is a deer, and he's showing both ways he's using his ears. You see what he's doing now? Yeah, those ears are constantly flipping around. He's cooling himself off. Watch, see what happens in just a second. What happened? Did he change how he used his ears? What was he looking for? Did you see that little bird fly by? Yes, he changed from using his ears for cooling off to using his ears for hearing for danger. Now, our mule deer have a really interesting adaptation. We also have white-tailed deer in Idaho, and they run because they're used to being in the forest. That's kind of their location they like to be. That was very noisy. They are really good at going between trees, and so they run like a horse. But these guys live where there's not very many trees. Remember our sagebrush steppe, our vast treeless plain? And so because these are a vast treeless plain, these guys just have bushes to get away from predators. So they've adapted to learn how to stalk, which means they jump up on all 4 legs and come down on all 4 legs, and that helps them be really fast and get away from predators. There he goes. You see him starting around. They're practicing starting.
Getting all riled up.
Okay, now comes one of our favorite animals to talk about. This is a rattlesnake, of course, and in southeastern Idaho, we only have one kind of venomous snake, and that is our Great Basin rattlesnake. He's named after our desert. Now, he has a whole lot of adaptations we're going to talk about. First of all, he has those fangs, and those fangs, hold on, those fangs help him catch his food. That's what they're used for. This is just a pretend one, a plastic one. Rattlesnake, but they are used to inject venom from their venom glands, which are right back here underneath their skin, and those venom glands just have really concentrated saliva, and so when they reach out and grab their prey and bite it, their venom starts to digest their body, and it helps them to aid them in digestion. And so that is one of his adaptations. In order to find food, he doesn't have to wrap around his food and get bitten and scratched up by his prey. He just has to bite one bite and back off, and his food dies and he's ready to be eaten. He's also got those rattles at the end, and those rattles are a way for him not to warn his food that he's coming. The way to warn those things that might hurt him, that might want to harm him, to stay away because he is dangerous. And those Yeah, and so he has lots of different rattles depending on how many times he shed his scales. Every time a rattlesnake sheds its scales, let me show you. This is a rattlesnake skin, all the layers of his skin. And this is a shed, and so he just sheds the outside layer of his scales, which are made out of fingernail material. Now, once fingernail material, keratin is formed, it doesn't grow anymore. So when he grows, he has to shed it off and get new uh, and have new scales grown underneath it are larger and able to let him move around the desert and do what he needs to do. Now, every time he sheds his scales, he gets a brand new button on his rattle. He only has one when he's born, this tiny little button at the end, and every time he sheds, he gets a new one. So this guy shed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Not every year. They don't shed like people do when they don't keep growing if there's no food. These guys have to have food in order to shed. And so those rattles are moving really fast, as you can see that picture up there. And that's how he warns that he is dangerous. Stay away. Now you can see those buttons as they're forming. Every new one comes underneath the old one, and as those buttons bump together, like this, here's the old button, here's the new one. As they bump together, they make a noise, and that's what makes the rattlesnake noise, rattle. Now, these guys are super fast, so you'll see as these rattles start to move, at first he's going to rattle slowly. He's not going to spend a lot of energy rattling, but whoever's taking this video didn't move away, and so this guy's going to get pretty ticked off. He's going to continue to rattle faster and faster. There he goes. And as he rattles so fast, that means he has a really fast toe muscles. In fact, he has two toe muscles right at the base of that rattle, and they can move faster than any other muscle in the animal kingdom, including the hummingbird can. Now this guy, whoever's taking that video, is standing right in front of him, but when he's coming towards a great basin rattlesnake coming towards the photographer, no, he's trying to hide, and that's what our rattlesnakes do best in Idaho. Our Great Basin rattlesnakes are very, very shy. In fact, Critters of the Moon calls them gentleman snakes because they are so shy. Yes, he's standing. So they like to hide. So there's a rattlesnake in this photo, and can you find it? Yeah, it's right in the middle. He is hiding right there in plain sight, and so rattlesnakes employ lots of really good camouflage. You can see there's a rattlesnake there and how well he blends into his background. Another adaptation. Okay, now we have another snake in Idaho who employs a different kind of adaptation. This one's called mimicry. It's kind of a camouflage. This is our Great Basin gopher snake, and he's our largest snake in Idaho, our longest snake in Idaho. And he likes to look like the rattlesnake. Can you guess why? Yeah, it gives him safety. He's got some pretty cool traits. First of all, his scales look very much like a gopher snake, or like a rattlesnake, the gopher snake and the rattlesnake together. And they even hunt the same way. They kind of curl their body up with their head sticking up in order to hunt hot and see better. It's called triangulation. And so these guys have kind of the same way of hunting. The only difference is their tail. But this, Oh, except the shape of their head. Now, most of the time, not all the time, but we can tell the difference between a venomous snake and a non-venomous snake by the shape of their head. Venomous snakes, like the rattlesnake at the very top, has a triangular shaped head, kind of fat there, and our garter snake would have an elliptical shaped head. But when he is in danger, he has the ability, the adaptation, to pull that head into a triangle in order to look more like a rattlesnake. He can even shake his tail, and if he's in loose grass or rocks, he even sounds like a rattlesnake. And this is a gopher snake. See that tail rattle? Yeah, even though he's not a rattlesnake, he's peculiar, and he does try to fool people. It's called mimicry, a type of camouflage.